We are live from Rutgers University, Piscataway, New Jersey. This is the New Jersey North 2 Group 4 championship game between Sayreville and Middletown North. Hi again, everybody. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner here with you. Thanks so much for joining us. Josh Noble, our producer, Kevin Devaney Jr. over on graphics. As Sayreville will kick off from left to right, wearing their white uniforms, the blue bottoms, the gray tops. Middletown North in all black with the orange numbers. And this will roll right to the goal line for a touchback. Well, 2 9-2 teams come in. The Bombers at 9-2, losses to Piscataway and South Brunswick. Middletown North, their 2 losses, Red Bank Catholic and Manasquan. And now it will be the Lions who will begin their very first drive, playing in a championship game for the first time in a very long time. It was 20 years ago, 1996, where they won the Central 4 title. And they'll go with their quarterback, Donald Glenn. He'll be playing at Wagner, not too far away in Staten Island. But a guy who has been exceptional this season. 2,400 yards, 22 TDs, and the big number, just 4 interceptions, close to a 60% conversion rate. First and 10 from their own 20. Here's the first play of the day. It's Dwight Wilkerson who runs outside of the numbers and gets out of bounds.
Pay attention to Dwight Wilkerson. He'll make you pay attention, Dan, because he is the Swiss Army knife of Middletown North. He can run the jet. He can, as a slot guy. Listen, when Connor Welsh was hurt and they were kind of grooming sophomore Connor Roberts into that tailback spot, it was Dwight Wilkerson who stepped in and compensated in his absence and became the leading rusher for Middletown North.
And so far this season on the ground, 80 carries, 652, and 6 TDs. Real balanced offense, 3 receivers on the far side, 1 to the near. This time they'll hand it off to Welsh, who goes right up the middle and picks up that first down. Let's take a look at Steve Bush's offense. Canova, Bazook, McCann, Goldfarb, and Muller are the front 5 guys. Glenn, of course, the QB. The wide receivers, Wilkerson, Campbell, Kuby. The running back is Welsh. Zenker is the tight end. This offense coming off a big game against Middletown South. First time they've won that game since 2000. Man in motion is Wilkerson. That's what they give it to. Number 5 gets rung up right at the 30-yard line. It's Mike German. Take a look at the D. Christian, Porcaro, and Roberts. Liberty, Germain, Plantone, and Floyd are the linebackers in the secondary. Clark, Golson, and Carter. Germain leading the team in tackles. The junior, not the biggest guy, only about 5'8", 183, but he hits like he's about 220. Glenn's going to go off to the races. Plenty of room on the outside. Gets a block and gets the first down. Donald Glenn, at this point, the game has really just slowed down for him in his senior year. It's kind of crazy, Greg. Steve Bush comes in 4 years ago as the head coach. He decides to start 2 freshmen, Glenn and then Dwight Wilkerson, who was playing both sides of the football. They won just 3 games. It's questioned now. They're back in the championship for the first time in a long time, and things have really turned around for this program. As Glenn looks to the near side, it's caught by Wilkerson. He gets a good block past the 50 and past the 40.
That was great hands by Dwight Wilkerson. He looked like he caught the back end of the football on that pass, and then just chopping his feet, picking up huge yards. Going back to your point, I'm sorry, Dan, but the one thing that makes that marriage so perfect, Donald Glenn and Steve Bush has NFL experience. He was with the Dolphins. So who better to groom a young quarterback, to ease his mind, and then to gradually start filling it with knowledge and wisdom, and now look what it's ended up with. Final game of the season, final game of Donald's career, and he's piling in the Lions in a state championship game. Pretty cool.
And that win over South was a big one. That alone, if they weren't even in the sectional championship game, that would have been enough for them. Well, guess what? Now they have a chance to win a title. Throws as he gets hit, looking for his number 1 man, Brendan Kuby, and he got rung up right over midfield.
That Thanksgiving Day win, Dan, really stood out because Middletown South had nothing else to play for. They were eliminated by Sayreville the week prior, so now they're all geared up for that crosstown game. And Middletown North is put in that precarious spot where they have a sectional final the week after Thanksgiving, yet they've got this emotional game. It's at Middletown North. They don't want to lay an egg. And instead, they practically put a goose egg up against Middletown South. They give up a late touchdown. I think it was a 24-6 victory for the Lions. That ends a 15-year Thanksgiving Day drought. Turkey is dry on Thanksgiving when you lose, by the way. But it also ended a 16-game losing streak overall because they lost to Middletown South twice last year.
Glenn, pressure from behind, gets it off in time to Connor Welsh. Now he's up the seams, past the 20-yard line, and marked down right at the 18.
Pretty screen pass. And you know what? Let me tell you something. When you run that type of delayed screen, Donald Glenn has to realize, you know what? I'm sacrificing my well-being on this. I'm going to get hit because of this because the offensive linemen are releasing all of the defensive linemen. But when it works, it's brilliant. Connor Wells is sitting there in the middle screen, and he picks up a huge chunk of yardage down to the 19. So what is it, 18-yard gain?
Something like that. You know, math isn't our best, thing here. They'll bring them back to the 19. So first time in the red zone today on their very first drive. And we've seen a little bit of everything. Some running from Wilkerson, some nice passes. Here's Glenn. Pocket collapsed, eludes that, runs out far side, throws, looking to the end zone. Kubi, touchdown!
Kubi or not Kubi? It's always Kubi when it's Donald Glenn looking for him. Great job by Donald Glenn. Ad-libbing, buying the time, and then, Dan, you can see as he lets that go, Brendan's covered, but he's got to trust it. He's putting a ball in the vicinity of Brendan Kubi. Those hands have never let him down. They don't let him down. That's a great start for Middletown North right there.
He got past, still was calm, and threw a beautiful ball to Kubi, who got hit hard in the end zone as well. And his number one receiver with more than 1,000 yards receiving this season makes it a 6-0 game. Kavanaugh out for the extra point. It's good, 7-zip. Big start already for Middletown North, and you could just feel the energy in this crowd coming from that far sideline.
No doubt about it. Let me tell you, Middletown North came out in force. The North Nation is here in force. You look across the field. They got 3 sections filled at the bottom of the level, and they want to come here and get in full throat. Donald Glenn, Brendan Kubi give them the opportunity to burst loose right off the bat with an impressive opening drive.
23rd time this season Glenn has thrown a touchdown. The 9th time he has found number 19. As Brendan Kubi, one of the captains, a guy who really stepped up last year, surprising everyone down on the shore. You know this better than anyone, Greg. What he was able to do a year ago, all of a sudden people started turning heads. Where did this kid come from? Now he's in his senior year. He gets marked up a little bit more. He gets that double coverage, and he still comes away with a spectacular season.
It's a chemistry. It's a chemistry that certain quarterbacks and receivers have that can't be broken no matter what the coverage is. You think about Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. It's endless. Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, they have this bond. You know what? If I'm doing this, you're doing that. So if Donald's releasing, he's scrambling right, Brendan knows, you know what, I'm going to stretch out my route, go a little deeper, and hopefully he's going to float it over the top of somebody and hit me. And he does.
Michael Liberty takes it from the 20, gets almost 20 yards on that, and they'll begin just shy, right out of the 39-yard line. That's where they're going to begin this first series. As Jason DeMille comes out, a senior captain himself. 2,000 yards passing so far this season, 24 touchdowns, 7 INTs, completion rating right around 57%. 3 receivers on the far side, 1 on the near. This time, DeMille will just keep it himself. Tries to go up the gut, and only picks up a yard. Take a look at the offense. Caprisi, Lupo, Platone, Porcaro, and Bear, the front 5 guys. DeMille, of course, is the QB. Carter and Holmes, as well as Wiley and Floyd, are the 4 wide receivers. Liberty is the running back. Jaquay Roberts is the fullback, who does get some touches. Now, it's the first handoff to Liberty, who himself has more than 1,000 yards on the ground this year. 12 touchdowns as well. And we'll have our first 3rd down of the day. Third down and 8. Shotgun formation, man in motion is Wiley. DeMille looking to pass. Here comes the blitz, runs right up the middle, gets the first down. and trucks his way just shy of the 40.
Good read by Jason DeMille, getting out of the pocket, getting upfield, and then sending a message to Brendan Kuby. You know what? You got us the first time around. Now it's my turn to get you. Runs right into him.
Take a look at the defense. So Wise and Robinson flank Ewington and Cafone up front. Stark, Kish, Zanker, Santiago, Wilkerson, Kuby, and Serbo. And here's a flag. Gonna be some movement. So, 5-yard penalty will make it 1st and 5 with the ball on the 35. Up the middle, ball's loose. If they already can say he's down, Middletown North says they have the football. Waiting for the signal.
Nick Cafone getting on top of that ball for Middletown North.
Well, it was right in the pile. Kind of tough, I guess, to see the ref, at least for me. But Liberty was running right up the middle, and he was stripped as he was twisting around. Cafone jumped on the football. High snap, here's the handoff. Connor Welsh will juke back towards his left.
Got a flag down. I wonder if there's a face mask here.
Connor Welsh broke his arm back in September, played just 2 games. Last one was on September the 16th. And it's going to be a personal foul, so bump him up 15 yards. So a nice little gain here for Middletown North and a good start for them as well. But Connor Welsh broke his arm, and he is back. The numbers he has been able to put up the last couple of games. Last time out in Thanksgiving game, 11 carries for 24, 5 for 63 receiving. But the semifinals, that was the big one. 14 carries, 106 yards. He has 4 touchdowns on the year overall.
You know, when we did our championship weekend preview show at MetLife on Thursday night, and talking to Amanda Puglisi, I said, you know, the reason why I like Middletown North is because they are healthy now. They're at full strength. Everybody on board.
Wells tries to cut outside and caught with plenty of white and blue jerseys.
I felt like during the course of Steve and Coach Bush was taking puzzle pieces and forcing them into spots because he had to make the thing whole, because there was guys missing in spots. And now everybody back being healthy, now they can go back to their natural positions. Now Middletown North's got some added depth, and at this time of year, when you have depth, you're dangerous.
2nd and 10 from their own 46-yard line. 2 receivers on the far side, 1 on the left. Play action, looks across the seams, and he finds Wilkerson, cuts back towards the middle as he dances his way up to the 30-yard line. They'll mark him down at the 29.
Donald Glenn, call him Dr. Donald Glenn, because he's surgical. When he has time in the pocket and he gets a chance to survey the field, I mean, Connor Welsh gets blown up trying to block off and hold off that rush. But it's just Connor sacrificing, putting his body in front of the rush off the edge that gives Donald Glenn enough time to find Wilkerson, and then Wilkerson throws the brakes, man.
You talk about playing for each other. That's really what they're doing. You can even see even on social media the amount of pride they had to just win last week, to get themselves to the championship, but to win a game against South, something they haven't done. Here comes the rush to find Kuby. This will end up being a loss of 2.
It's a great read by Matt Chan, man. He did not bite on that back screen. He was sitting there waiting for it and reads it and wraps.
Jakari Carter was all over him, the sophomore.
My bad. I'm looking at the Middletown North roster. That's horrible.
It's been a long day already. It's only our 2nd game of 4. Just joining us now, Piscataway defeated Manalapan in our first game today. We've all been here since very early in the morning. Saw the sunrise today. I haven't done that in a while.
I apologize to Jakari Carter. That was a good read by one Jakari Carter on that back screen.
One of the many sophomores who step up for this group. Another run right up the middle. Welsh is going to go nowhere. It'll be 3rd down and long.
Up the middle, Connor Welsh. Number 37 is Bryce Christian.
Bryce Christian on the tackle. Well, how did they get here? Middletown North. First sectional final appearance is 96, and this is a year that is kind of, you start off, they went over Neptune, lost to Red Bank Catholic, a game that they possibly could have won. They only lose by 3. You start getting on a roll, then you drop another one. You get yourself to the playoffs, the win over Woodbridge, a 20-0 statement win over Summit to get yourself here. Now you're sitting at a 9-2 overall record. Empty backfield, 3 on the right, 2 on the left. Here comes the pressure, flushed out near side. Glenn, pump fakes. He'll reverse direction. Donald Glenn will just keep it himself and spin up.
I'm exhausted watching Donald Glenn make that run. Listen, again, I'm gonna date myself. That looked like Fran Tarkington right there, the old Vikings quarterback. He goes 20 yards to his left, he goes 15 yards to his rear, he goes 50 yards to his right, and all that for a gain of 9 yards? What hustle, what effort.
So now a 4th down. That just shows you the kind of player that Donald Glenn is. Wagner's going to be happy about bringing him. He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got really just the whole focus of the game itself. Steve Bush telling me this week the game was just slowed down for him at this point. And when that starts to happen, when you start being able to call reads everywhere, you're calling your blocks, just shows you where you're at. 2 receivers on the far side right, 3 on the left. And it is a catch.
Brendan Kuby. Heady route right there, Dan. Knows where the first down marker is. He drives downfield. He sits on the hash mark, knowing he's 1 yard beyond it. Gives himself an opportunity to make a catch. And I'm going to tell you right now, that play before with Donald Glenn, scrambling out of the way, when you see your quarterback magic like that happen, it just pumps in more confidence within the Lions, saying, my God, if our leader is going to make plays like that, I kind of like our chances today.
One receiver to the right. They'll give it up the middle instead. Connor Welsh, 17 yards to the house, and another 6 on the board for Middletown North here in the first.
Different team, man. I'm telling you right now, these last couple weeks, a different vibe has been cast from Middletown North. They are the team that I think a lot of people expected at the beginning of the season. Dan, they play in the toughest division in the Shore Conference. They're in the B North, so they're dragging with the Middletown South, the Walls, the RBCs, the Oceans, the Manasquans, Long Branch. There's no rest for the weary, but I'll tell you what it does. It polishes the edges so when you get to the playoffs, things like this happen.
Kavanaugh for the extra point. He's 2 for 2. 14-0, and points off of a turnover as well. Back in their own end of the field. Don't forget about that, the Liberty fumble that they pounced on. They were able to strip it from him. Cofone pounced on the football, and they went from their own end of the field and turned into another 7 points. So Sayreville, who had a pretty good first drive that again was halted by a turnover. They will start this once again. A group that has wins over the number 4 seed, Phillipsburg, at 21-7. And then the win over the defending champion, Middletown South, 42-28. Smart play, taking it right off at the turf. And that was not an easy one for Floyd. 2:31 to play here in the opening quarter, already 14-0. Middletown North, they scored on their first drive, they scored on their second drive. And now Sayreville will look to try and take it from their own 40-yard line and at least slow some things down here. Mill has one receiver, well, back to the left, Liberty, one receiver to the right. Three on the far side, play action. Gets a good block, tosses it across the middle. Dangerous pass, almost intercepted by Wilkerson. But still a pretty nice block that might have actually saved him from getting sacked in his own end. Damian Lupo had that big pancake. Liberty. He'll pick up 6.
Michael Liberty over the right side, wrapped up under 57. Kyle Unington.
I'm looking at the Middletown North team. I think that's Austin DeWise, who's wearing number 11 for Middletown North. And the only reason I recognize him is one of the flow riders, man. He's one of the flow riders in the short conference. There's 4 of them. 2 of them are still alive, Austin DeWise and Shane Ritchie. But I was looking, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Austin wearing number 11, because he was the one who brought pressure on DeMild on the previous pass play, coming hard off the right side. He's got an engine that doesn't cease.
Timeout was called by Middletown North, so they'll use their first timeout. So far here in the first quarter, a real good tempo and a real good energy. We mentioned in this crowd, you look at the far side, I mean, this student section is absolutely packed.
North Nation 1, at North Nation 1 if you follow them on Twitter, man. And they love what they're seeing from their Lions right now.
3rd and 5 from their own 45. 2 receivers on the far side, 1 to the near. The middle belt eye snap. Time to throw. Airs it out. Looking. Incomplete.
Mark Serbo on the coverage for Middletown North at the last second, getting his hand out there just to disrupt that pass.
Connor Holmes, the sophomore, was the intended target.
You know, while we're getting this quick changeover, it looks like Sayreville's getting ready to punt. The one thing that's really stood out for me personally involving Middletown North is their defense in the postseason. To shut out Summit, to hold Middletown South to 6 points on Thanksgiving. That to me is what the difference has been for Middletown North in the last month of the season. They're playing impeccable defense right now.
A 3 and out results in a punt, which will get it down to the 11-yard line. And Middletown North will take on their 3rd series of the day. For North, averages about 29 points per game. They've given up about 16 per contest, but they've held their opponent to 8 or less 4 times. And in the last couple of weeks, 4 to be exact, just 2 scores or less. The most they surrendered in that span, 14 to Woodbridge. Donald Glenn has looked for a lot of different guys. And last week, their win over South, 6 different receivers had multiple catches. Kind of does the same exact thing. Welsh is one of those guys who had some catches as well, but he'll have a rushing TD today. It's kind of interesting, Greg. Connor Welsh last year, as a sophomore, comes in to step in for an injured player. This year, he gets injured and has to have another sophomore step in for him. In addition to Dwight Wilkerson, Connor Robbins was able to spill a couple of times and be some of their lead back guys in many situations. It's kind of come full circle for them, and now you have a healthy roster. You mentioned before, a team with depth and a team that is finally at 100% is just a different group in a championship.
You know, Coach Bush obviously wants to get underclassmen intimate with what this level of football is all about, but not at the expense of losing upperclassmen. And to know that you have a kid like Connor Robbins who can fill in for Connor Welsh, that moving forward as the season progresses, you get to the season, you know what, we got a little depth here, and in a big spot, if Connor Welsh needs a blow, we can bring Connor Robbins in to kind of spell him for a minute, and we don't have to worry about the product dipping.
3rd and 5.
3rd down and 5. Their own 16. Most likely the final play of this opening quarter. Glenn, empty backfield. Here comes the blitz. Gets it across the middle in the flats. Wilkerson jukes back towards his right and gets the first down. What a pretty play. And that's going to end the first quarter. Middletown North coming to play quickly. Kubi's 19-yard TD reception, then a fumble recovery, followed by some points off of those turnovers. A 17-yard run from Connor Welsh. It's 14-0 after 12 minutes. Back with more in the championship game in North 2 Group 4, only on News 12 Varsity.
Coming up at halftime, we'll have our halftime entertainment. The Middletown North High School Marching Band will perform, along with their cheerleaders to follow. That's our halftime show. Middletown North's band and cheerleaders. Our pregame show was supplied by Sayreville High School and the national anthem. We'll start the second quarter, 1st and 10 at the 29.
We flip side of the field here at High Point Solution Stadium, Rutgers University. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner, thanks so much for joining us on News 12 Varsity. 1st and 10 from the 29. We'll pick up a 2-yard gain on that carry by Welsh. As so far, touchdowns from Kubi and then Welsh on the ground have resulted in a 2-score lead. (2015) for North. It was a loss in the semifinals to crosstown rival and then number 1 in the state, Middletown South. South went on to win that championship. But it was their first state playoff victory in 15 years in the win over this very same team, this Sayreville team that was injured. Ball's loose. Will they say he was down or not?
Judging by the casualness of the referee, he's going to say the forward motion was stopped.
Brock Zanker had the ball and got tackled by Carter, and the second guy comes over. It was Jermaine.
It doesn't sound like the Sayreville faithful agree with the call. Could be me.
So as the Boo Birds come out on the near sideline from the Bomber faithful, it'll be a 3rd down and 9 for Middletown North from their own 30. Glenn flushed out near side, pressure coming, gets the pass off, incomplete. Kubi almost reeled that in. That would have been a spectacular catch. Not many guys can even get to that ball to begin with. The fact that he had a chance to play it was still something else, but it will be a punt.
Heads-up play by Mike Liberti right there to knock the ball out, because Kubi goes up and actually gets both hands on it like he's going to pull it down, and Mike Liberti gets his hand in there to pop it loose. So good effort on both sides.
First 3 and out thus far, and here comes the punting unit. Austin DeWise. Skies a kick. Fair catch will be called by Carter. And it will take a Sayreville bounce with some backspin that gets him up to the 42.
You know, we should mention this, Dan. The job that Sayreville and Chris Began, the coach for the Bombers, has done getting this program back here. This program went through some dark times in the last few years with the scandal that broke out there. But yet they have somehow summoned everything that made this program so revered on an annual basis to get back to this point. So you credit this core of Bombers, you credit the coaching staff for what they've done, and this town is passionate about its football, passionate.
Telling me even this week the seniors really stuck together, and there are some seniors who played big roles. Wiley, one of them, DeMild, Liberty, these are all guys who were around, of course, during some very dark times. Something that brought national attention, not even just regional, but national attention. And now they're back playing in a championship game. Jaquay Roberts, the fullback, taking guys along with him as he crosses the 35-yard line.
I'm sorry, did you say that was Earl Campbell who was dragging that on? Holy smokes, big fella. Take it easy.
5'10", 225, and you see he's got tree trunks for legs.
That's a huge engine block coming right up the middle, and you could sense it. It gave a lot of energy to Sayreville.
Play action. The Mild crosses the 30-yard line, taken out. No, Sayreville so far, 2 decent drives. I mean, the last one was a pretty good drive, got him down deep. Was just halted, you kind of wonder where the game would be. But so many coaches say it all the time. You play in championship games, there's always that 1 or 2 turnovers that just make a difference. And you don't ever want to be on the negative side of that. As Roberts gets himself, I think, a first down, depending on the spot, and it looks like they'll move the chains here.
Sayreville folks getting a little fired up, getting themselves involved. Bomber country well represented here today. Not a far drive for those from Sayreville.
2 receivers on the far side, 1 on the near. Another handoff. Here's Roberts up the seams. Past the 10-yard line.
It's going to take 2 guys to bring down Roberts right there. It's Kubi and it's DeWise. He's a big fella, and when he gets some speed going through that hole, you got to hit him low. You got to be willing to go and hit him low too. You're putting your well-being in your own hands, getting in front of that big guy.
The D has been so good this year, especially some of those linebackers. Another handoff. That's going to be Liberty down to the 2. And they're going to keep Roberts on the field here. They show blitz. Roberts. And a stop.
Ryan Stark.
Ryan Stark missed 2015 to a knee injury. Played 5 games as a sophomore. Expected to be such a big contributor as a junior. And then, of course, he goes down. And that's got to hurt. Now he's back. He's been strong and has had himself a heck of a senior year. 2 receivers on the far side. The middle to the goal line. Touchdown. Sayreville's on the scoreboard.
Great job by Jason Mello right there. Spinning his body, gets to the goal line, faces resistance, takes his shoulder, inside shoulder, spins back towards the middle, gets his body twisted towards the end zone, crosses the goal line. Bombers on the board.
Crowley out for the PAT. Snap is good, end over end kick right between the uprights. It's a 14-7 game. Sayreville takes it from their own 42 and puts some points on that board. It's now a 1-score game.
Goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. A huge response by Sayreville. Cuts the deficit in half. Gives everybody on that sideline a sense like, all right, man, here we go. We're settled in. Jaquay Roberts gives us a little enthusiasm. Always fun to watch when the big fellas pound it between the tackles and take some people along for a ride. In one instance, he took a couple Middletown North defenders for a ride, and then in the end, he's a guy driving the bus that helps Sayreville get into the end zone. 14-7.
Wilkerson back to receive. They'll try to keep it away from him. DeWise picks it up. Here's Austin DeWise. Tries to juke back towards his left and will get himself to the 36.
Picked up by Austin DeWise, number 11.
This will be the 4th drive of the game for Middletown North.
22, Mo Ture.
They punted 3 and out last time after scoring on their first 2. And a chant on the near sideline, let's go defense. Both teams support so well for their schools. High snap. Glenn airs it out across the middle, right into the hands of Wilkerson. And it's a Sayreville territory.
Just a seam route to a slot back. But not just any slot back. Dwight Wilkerson's a special slot back. And I thought at one point, as he gets hit, I thought he was going to still somehow maintain his balance. As you see, he gets his back turned around. He starts backpedaling for a minute.
A 39-yard pickup. And Dwight Wilkerson has been really good to start this game. Very noticeable. He's been one of the main targets that Donald Glenn has gone to. Another high snap. They'll give it right up the middle this time. It's Connor Robbins getting a touch. And he picks up a nice little carry of 7.
Connor Robbins, number 34.
Robbins leading the team in rushing TDs. Again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he was getting more carries as the team's tailback with Welsh being injured. But still 435 yards. Might have a nice two-headed monster going forward with Welsh and Robbins. For now, he complements them pretty well. 2nd down and 2. And a tackle for a loss. Jermaine. It almost seemed, Greg, the defense was a little out of sync on that. Still picked it up very well.
Yeah, they did, because you know what? A guy like Jermaine shoots the gap like that and makes a tackle behind the line of scrimmage, and all's good in the world, you know, for the defense. It kind of cosmetically conceals the fact that maybe they were switching in the last second. Maybe it looked like there was a little hecticness, but in the end, it seemed to work out perfectly for Sayreville. 4-yard loss.
3rd down and 6. Glenn with the blitz coming, finds his main man. Here's Kuby. Right to the marker. Well, he's not very big, at least in terms of guys that sometimes you want to see at that next level, but he plays bigger than his size, 6 foot, 185. And really the only thing I think holding him back from a top-level offer is maybe that size, and it's kind of a shame because he's a real fun player to watch.
You know, you're talking to the wrong guy on that one, because I'm always going to champion the cause that these kids deserve a chance. I see kids like Mike Golick, the running back at Jackson, who everybody says he's undersized. Well, you know, all he did was run for 4,000 yards. I remember when Mark Fasati was at St. Joe's, Montvale. Sorry, I was going to just watch the end of that play. When Fasati was at Montvale, St. Joe's Montvale, as a linebacker, all he did was clean people's clocks every Saturday, make hundreds of tackles, and it was like, he's undersized. You know what? He's thriving at Princeton, and I guarantee you on the down low, there's some D1 coaches in the FBS ranks who are probably like, they regret that they didn't get that kid because, you know, he'd be an asset. Dylan Rogers, who's here at Rutgers, the linebacker from Middletown South, he comes as a walk-on. I'm going to guarantee, I would bet my mortgage at some point, Dylan Rogers will be playing on the field here.
Glenn pump fake. Floyd looking for Kuby in that far side. Floyd was, I thought, really getting to Glenn right there. Kind of pushed the blocker out of the way, shoved him about 5 yards. And by the time he spun around, just wasn't able to get to Glenn. Brandon Sensi on that coverage against Kuby. Kuby back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Only a handful of catches as a sophomore. 3rd down and 9 from the 13-yard line. Glenn, too high, looking for Wilkerson on the near side of the field. So 4th down, looks like the kicking unit will come out. Kavanaugh this season, 8 of 9 for field goals. 35 yards is his long.
Kavanaugh's been reliable in the kicking game, especially in the postseason. Had 2 field goals against Summit. You're looking at a 30-yard field goal right now for him, which is well within his range.
Joey Kavanaugh on to attempt the field goal.
A 30-yarder. The sophomore, Joey Kavanaugh. Ball's down, laces to the front, end-over-end kick, but too far left. So a nice defensive stand by Sayreville. Ends up forcing them to try and take the 3, and just misses it left, pulling it a little bit too far. Had the pressure coming. Only the second field goal he has missed all season.
Don't look now, but Sayreville gets the rock back with plenty of time to potentially tie this game up.
And they get the ball to start the second half. Don't forget about that. We saw that happen in our last game with Manalapan had a chance, and then Piscataway takes the ball right back and makes it a 3-score game. A 3-yard carry. It's Michael Liberti, who some may feel is a little underrated. Some of the numbers he puts up doesn't get the same attention as some of his teammates. Still more than 1,000 yards on the ground this season. In double figures in TDs. Coming off a 15-carry, 102-yard game. Also had 3 receptions for 81, including a big 59-yard catch. Their win over Middletown South, the defending champions.
One of those guys in on the last tackle, Nick Kish, linebacker. He's another one who's just been a tackling machine throughout his career for Middletown North.
He has led the team in tackles last couple of years, more than 100 this season. Entering into today, he had 118 in 2015 and 100 exactly in his sophomore campaign.
And another one right there. So let me throw this number out to you. This will blow your mind probably. Maybe it won't. I shouldn't be so presumptuous. Can you take a guess what the leading tackler, what his numbers are for the season in the short conference? What do you think the leading tackler in the short conference sits at?
Possibly 100, 110, 115?
110? Pete LaQualia, the senior linebacker from Thompson North, will be going into the South Jersey Group 5 final tonight at 6 o'clock against Millville with 168 tackles.
Wow.
168 tackles.
In 11 games.
Hey, Pete, could you possibly let somebody else on the team make a tackle?
You can check out great championship merchandise apparel by Terrific Tees. Terrific Tees with the NJSIAA.
2:56 to play here in the half. Ball is on the 38-yard line from Middletown North. Dan Savarino, Greg Lerner here with you. Thanks so much for joining us on News 12 Varsity. Again, North scored on their first 2 drives. They also had a fumble recovery on the first Sayreville possession. The Mills 2-yard TD run put the Bombers on the board. Now Donald Glenn will look to respond. Throws as he gets hit. Incomplete pass.
That almost looked like Donald Glenn didn't anticipate how quickly Jasim Floyd was coming in on him, because he casually looked like he was almost setting up a middle screen, and then Floyd closed on him.
Jasim Floyd, number 88, wearing the white and blue. Highly recruited player to play some football, but he loves the sport. Basketball was his number 1 sport. Quinnipiac, Canisius, NJIT, Holy Cross, just a couple who have openly expressed interest for the 6'7", 210-pounder. Curious to see what he ends up taking the next step, maybe waiting it out for the basketball season. Glenn, now here comes the pressure. Flushed out near side, throws on the run, incomplete, as he was trying to find a man right across the middle. That was intended for Welsh. So a 3rd down and 10. And Sayreville's D starting to really step it up a lot more in the last couple of series. They just look much calmer out there than they did in the first 2 drives.
Getting a decent pass rush now. Floyd on one side. Making Glenn move out of the pocket. Just making him a little more uncomfortable. You know, when you're on the run for a reason because someone's bearing down on you.
Has to just throw it into the ground, as Floyd was all over him again on that blitz from the edge. 3 and out.
Incomplete pass by Bryant, pressure by number 37, Bryce Christian.
Yeah, Bryce Christian right there bringing the pressure at that time from the other side. So they're starting to bring it from different perspectives. That's going to put Glenn's head on the swivel a little bit for his own well-being.
To Wise. High kick. Carter will just let it roll to the 30-yard line. And it keeps spinning. So mark it down at the 29. They'll have 2 minutes and 24 seconds. In addition to all 3 timeouts, trailing by 7 here in the first half. Chris Beegan's group coming in, and Beegan himself, head coach at Monroe High School for a number of years. 8 seasons led him to their first championship with the Falcons in '09. This was kind of one of his dream jobs, come back to a place that he grew up, he played football with. Sayreville grad in 1990, a standout linebacker, wrestled a little bit too. He's an All-American wrestler at Montclair State University and was also a member of the assistant coaches on the '97 state championship team. Bringing them back to the promised land.
It's going to be a legal substitution on Sayreville. Will be a 5-yard penalty.
So make it 1st and 15. Back from the 24. DeMille has a man to his left hip. 2 receivers slot out on both sides. And Roberts runs right up the gut and picks up 6. To Quay Roberts, they've been giving some carries in the last couple of series because he's been getting it done. Nothing fancy, just run right up the middle and see if you can take me down. 2nd down and 9. Under 2 minutes to play. DeMille throws right across the middle. It was intended for Connor Holmes, who kind of took a tumble right to the ground, and the entire Bomber sideline over here yelling with the awe. I think maybe also wanted a penalty on that, but just the angle of it. Nobody was near him. Liberty comes back out on the field. Floyd, the one receiver on the far side. 3 on the near side left. Shotgun formation, DeMille. Bell tie snap, 3-step drop. Time to throw, airs it out near, and overshoots his intended target. Looking for Holmes. That's been the #1 guy he's been trying to get to today. So now, 4th down and 9 will result in a punt.
Great job by the secondary at Middletown North. Again, the coverage we talked about in the first game. The fact that if you can cover guys downfield and the quarterback cannot find the window to put the ball in, it increases the opportunity for the defensive line to get a sack. And furthermore, it just creates a hasty throw that's going to result in basically nothing for the offense.
Philly's punt goes out to the 41-yard line, and that's where he'll settle down, actually at the 40 with a couple more spins. 94 seconds to play here in the second quarter. Both teams punting the football back and forth after So much offense for the first few drives in that first. Things have now settled down. The defenses have gotten back to where they are expected to be. And you just feel it's always going to be one of those close little battles here and there. It's all about every inch.
I don't know. I just get a sense with a minute 34, there's enough time for Middletown North to strike. Especially the way that Glenn has been completely connected with both Dwight Wilkerson and Brendan Kuby.
Looking to throw on the near side, intended for Zanker.
And then Jasim Floyd says, hey, learner, shut up. And he goes and puts pressure on Donald Glenn like that to just disrupt everything. Might want to give that basketball thing a second thought, Jasim.
Jasim Floyd, we've seen him get near Donald Glenn plenty today. I mean, it helps him have that size and that speed.
Long legs, long arms. Extends, tough to pass over. And then when he gets his arms up and he's bearing down on you, he just closes in on you fast. And all of a sudden you can't see the sun anymore because he's eclipsing your view.
2nd and 10 from the 41. Glenn looking for Wilkerson, maybe Welsh, not exactly sure. Both guys were in that area. So another 3rd down. And the rhythm has started to slow down for Middletown North.
7 straight incompletions now for Middletown North. And I think you got to give credit to the fact that that's what Sayreville is doing. They're starting to bring a little more heat and collapse that pocket a little quicker, make Donald Glenn throw the ball maybe a little faster before a route is actually fully developed. And as a result, you got a 14-7 game. It was 14-0 at one point. You got coaches on the Sayreville sideline trying to pump up the crowd. Everything's flying up and down over here for the Bombers. Big snap for Middletown North.
3rd and 10. Glenn. Is it a catch? It is. Aiden Campbell wearing number 30 today. Trying to find Zanker on 1st down. And nice coverage right across the middle. Antoine Golson in the secondary has done a really solid job. 11 interceptions, 33 sacks overall. But they have been flying around, especially as of late, and that's been one of the big keys to success has been their defense. Second and 10 from the Sayreville 49. 3 receivers far side, 1 to the right. Glenn drops back. Floyd comes after him, gets it off in time, finds Kuby for a 10-yard gain. Maybe 9 and 2 feet, depending on where the spot is. That's what it looks like. So timeout's going to be called by Middletown North. 46 seconds to play here in the 2nd quarter, a 14-7 lead. North is down to just 1 final timeout.
1 timeout, 46 seconds left to go. With those timeouts, you can run those routes in the middle of the field like that, knowing that, you know what, we'll take a chance. If he knock us down, we got a timeout to use. Referee doesn't know the ball's blowing away. We got towels blowing away. Everything's on the field right now blowing away.
We were just down on the field before, and the wind actually, it's swirling hard. And we can even see some of the flags today that they have all lined up throughout the stadium between the big American flag to our left and some of the flags of the Big Ten to the right. It's really moving hard from left to right. In our first game, both teams actually had to hold down the ball for kickoffs. 3rd and 1 from the 40. Empty backfield, 3 receivers far side, 2 to the right. Glenn has the pressure coming from Floyd. Pigskins loose. And they'd be calling this an incomplete pass. That is the call.
Guess who? Knock, knock. Who's there? Jasim Floyd, again, coming hard off the edge.
He is just blowing by guards and tackles like it's nobody's business.
Man, if this is the way he plays basketball, the rest of the GMC better learn to box out before the middle of December. Otherwise, he's going to be cleaning glass.
And they're going to discuss if this was just an incomplete pass. Was it in the forward motion? That's the call. Incomplete pass. Fans, of course, do not agree on the near sideline. But now with a 4th and 1 and 35 seconds, they're going to go for it. They'll stack the line. Glenn, play action. What a play call to Zenker. Can't bring it in. He might have been off to the races if he was able to catch that.
Incomplete pass. I love the play call right there. I love the play action. We will stack the box. We're going to anticipate that you're going to run something. Power perhaps up the middle. I love the play action rollout. Just leads Zenker a little bit too much, but I love the call. Wouldn't be surprised if Middletown North goes back to that at some point, because that play was there, it was open, and if he leads Zenker, we might have a touchdown for Middletown North.
He had some steps on Golson, and Zenker's a good open field runner. He's a lacrosse player. He's used to those situations. So now with 28 seconds to go, ball on their own 39-yard line. And also, all 3 timeouts. DeMille will drop back. Here comes the pressure. He'll be taken down by DeWise.
DeWise and Ryan Stark both getting there at the same time. Like they were both shot out of a cannon, double barrel from each side.
No timeout's going to be called here. This is just end the quarter. 2-1, and that's going to do it. Through 24 minutes, it's Middletown North who got on the board first. They are up 14-0. It's now 14-7 in a real exciting first half of action. Stay tuned for more. Third quarter is just moments away, only on News 12 Varsity.
start our second half of our championship final. Teeing it up for Middletown North, number 47, Jody Kavanaugh. Back to number 34, Connor Holmes of the Bombers, along with number 5, Michael Liberty.
New Jersey North 2 Group 4 championship game. We start the second half as Michael Liberty pounces on the ball. Came up a little short on him. It's just 3 seconds off the clock to begin this third quarter. Dan Salverino, Greg Lerner, thanks so much for joining us. Josh Noble is our producer, cameraman. Kevin Devaney Jr. also here on site working the graphics. High Point Solutions Stadium, pretty good crowd on hand for these championship games. Second one today. And now Sayreville will come out for their first drive of half number 2. 103 yards of total offense back in that first half. Middletown North held the possession for 16 minutes. And already a flag before the ball even got snapped. This will be an offsides penalty. 5 yards, so 1st and 5. We look at some of these stats back from that first half. For Sayreville, Roberts leading the way on the ground. 5 carries, 47 yards. DeMilt has 28 yards and a TD. Liberty, 28 yards as well, but 0 for 4 passing. That's one number that really stands out for a guy who has been about 57% on the season in completion rating and more than 2,000 yards in the air, and he hasn't been able to complete a pass. As Roberts picks up another carry, 3 more yards. They go to him again, tripped up right at the line of scrimmage.
Diving close to a first down.
It was Justin Mueller.
Is Roberts, tripped up by number 51, Muller. 3rd and 1.
3rd and 1. They were 2 for 5 on 3rd downs back in that first half. Shotgun formation. Roberts for the 3rd straight time. And it looks like he'll have it on the 3rd attempt.
Roberts gets a ball. Number 67 on the stop, Nico Cafone. First down, Bombers.
Roberts one more time, right up the middle. So far, Jaquay Roberts has gotten the bulk of the carries. For a guy who coming into today, only 19 for 143 and 4 touchdowns. Liberty, 181. With more than 1,000. DeMille breaks out of a potential sack, but then gets tripped up trying to get away from it. Muller was there on the sack, his 2nd of the season.
3 tackles in this series for Muller. And right there, a huge one, getting him behind the line of scrimmage. Saw a little bit of the momentum that Sayreville was gradually building.
Third down. Roberts to the right hip. Steps, throws, across the middle, finds Floyd for the first time today. The first completed catch of the afternoon. It will still be shy of the first down sticks. Zim Floyd, 24 catches, more than 500 yards, and 10 receiving TDs. Leading this group in receiving yards and touchdowns. And now look at this. Spread guys out and mix it up. And there's movement on the line too. That will pick up the first. And Wiley, the punter, is also one of the top wide receivers they have. So sometimes they like to use that to their advantage. But the encroachment penalty will be an automatic first down on the 4th and 1. So from their own 48-yard line, taking advantage of some flags. So far, 2 penalties for 10 yards against Middletown North in this drive. A defense that has been so stout the last couple of weeks. Allowed just 6 points overall. Another run right up the middle. And I'll get it to just about midfield. It's just interesting to see, Greg, that two teams that love to throw the football, and Sayreville especially, I know they want to keep Middletown North off the board, and you want to keep them off the field as much as possible, but it seems like they're running a lot more than usual. As the Mill has to pick up the ball that hit the ground.
Yeah, to your point, I think it's maybe about getting a little tempo, controlling the clock a little bit, keeping the ball out of Middletown North's hands, again, because they have the ability to strike quick, and also lulling Middletown North defensively with Roberts being that sledgehammer that keeps pounding you up the middle, and then all of a sudden maybe it softens up the defense to go over the top.
Yeah, Liberty has barely been on the field here in this half. As the fans on the far side get loud on this 3rd down and 11. Shotgun formation, Roberts at the left hip. Bell tie snap, 3-step drop, time to throw. Looking down the near sideline, nearly intercepted. Good coverage by Serbo.
The Miles pass intended for Angie Willie. On the coverage, Mark Serbo.
So this will end up being a punt. After they pick up a first down in the process.
Back deep, Mark Serbo.
Wind blowing hard right into the face of Wiley. And a flag on the play. So false start on the offense. Back him up 5 more, now 4th and 16. Serbo back to receive. 11 punt returns this season. He'll just call for a fair catch. Right at the 33-yard line. So Donald Glenn and company will come out, and they've really been slowed down by the Bomber defense in the last few series. After scoring on their first 2 and really marching down the field both times, it's been a little bit anemic the last few times out. It's punt, punt, punt. That turnover on downs, which was close to ending that quarter on that 4th down and 1.
One of the reasons, Dan, is if you notice the flag in the end zone, it's blowing pretty stiff right now. And for these high school kids to compensate for the win in the passing game is not easy.
Glenn throws. Got hit in the process again. And who was the guy who bumped into him? Justine Floyd.
Glenn's doing a nice job of when he is under duress of dumping the ball off and not taking a significant loss as a result of it.
But this day's end, Floyd and Glenn might just be best friends. Because he has been next to him all day long.
Or Donald Glenn will be contacting a doctor to have him removed because he's been planted on his skin for the last half an hour.
A handoff to Welsh. Be a 4-yard gain, so this will result in a 3rd down. 3rd downs for them, 3 for 9 back in that first half.
Number 56, Christian Platone, with the tackle. That'll bring up a 3rd and 6.
Much different start to this half than we saw the first half. A lot of energy coming out. Both teams getting the ball off quickly. Big plays. Glenn into the flats. Finds Welsh. But he's not going to pick up the first down. Excellent coverage. Michael Germain, again, not the biggest guy you will see. But boy, oh boy, does he play with a big heart. And he's such a smart football player.
That's a huge tackle, Dan, because you know what? If Jermaine misses that tackle, Welsh is going to go for a while.
DeWise out to punt. Carter back to receive. Stands just past the 30-yard line. High end-over-end punt down the near sideline. Carter picks it up from his own 25-yard line, cuts back towards the middle, and past the 35. He'll be marked down to the 37. The wind is blowing in that direction, and that helped a little bit.
Across the 35 to the 37.
So their second drive here of the half.
On the return, tackled by
Sayreville's been on the road plenty as of late. Just kind of fell that way at Old Bridge, at Peaburg, at Middletown South, and now almost a first down here from Liberty. But it kind of just worked out for them that way, and they've done a really good job of just talking to Chris Began about creating a story each and every week. Not looking too far ahead, just create that story, win that game, move on from there, and that's kind of just the way they've been. They have had no problem playing on the road. It's a Middletown North territory on that 4-yard rush right up the middle.
So the short conference today, Dan, is going for, they have the potential for 10 sectional titles. They got their first one. Congratulations to Wall Township. They defeated 4-time defending South Jersey Group 3 champ.
Floyd wide open, but was running 3 steps ahead and couldn't pull it in.
Justine Floyd is going to want that one back. And I'm sure Jason Miller is going to tell him, pick your head up, because we're coming back your way. They might even come back his way right now to get him back in the game.
That's what the coaches were doing. They were yelling at him, get back on the line, let's keep going here. They saw a breakdown, they saw it as a positive. Bell tie snap, looking right up the middle. DeMille trucks his way past the 45-yard line, and he'll get the first down in the process.
Stop number 19, Brandon Kuby. And that's a Sayreville Bomber first down.
First down for the Bombers. 2 receivers far side, 2 on the near. Here's Roberts. Moving those big legs and churning them up to the 31.
He is not the guy you want to see coming on power right now.
Hurry up offense. Roberts up the seams into the secondary. He'll be down at the 18. I'll check that actually at the 14. There is a flag on the far side of the field. Legal substitution on the D. Penalties declined. A first down. The ball on the 12. So now this is starting to get that rhythm that we saw earlier from Sayreville. Using the big body from Jaquay Roberts. And it kind of all started after that, dropped pass by Floyd down the near sideline, which he probably would have been off to the races. Since then, after that miss, it kind of woke everybody up again. Roberts cuts back to the middle, to the end zone. A PAT away from a tie ball game.
That drive right there was all about tempo. You can see they did Justine Floyd a favor by picking up the pace on that drive. They wiped it out. They deleted that play. They picked up a teammate the way that they just did it by marching down the field, eating up yard after yard on Roberts' shoulders.
Crowley's extra point is no good. Push it wide right. Taken into the wind. So it's a 1-point game. Middletown North still owns the lead, 14-13.
Number 56, Christian Platone.
It's a huge drive by Sayreville. A lot of energy, man. You're hearing this crowd get into it. The kids are feeding off of it. They're feeding off each other. It's a one-point game now. And going back to a point that I was going to make 5 minutes ago, I just want to say real fast congratulations to Wall Township, which won the South Jersey Group 3 championship, knocking off 4-time defending champ Delsey 20-7. So the Crimson Knights annex a sectional title into the trophy case in Wall Township. And the Shore was going after the potential for 10 sectional titles. The last 2 years, they've set the record, Dan, by winning 6 sectional titles in each of the last 2 years.
It's title weekend. Plenty of them. We actually have 18 of the New Jersey State Championship games. 2 of them in the books yesterday. A couple of more today. The kick from right to left from Maluski. And it's picked up by Campbell. There will be a flag on this play as Aiden Campbell gets himself into Sayreville territory. I'll be taken down just past the 40-yard line. But this should be coming back. There's a couple of flags out there.
Aiden Campbell on the return. Flag is down.
Ten-yard penalty from the spot of the foul for the illegal block in the back. They'll start this drive back on their 17, wiping away a huge return that which would have brought them up just inside of the 45-yard line of opposition territory. And now both teams and both fan groups starting to get loud. Feels like the start of the game all over again. Donald Glenn and company has Wilkerson, the man in motion, to the far side. Hands it off to Welsh. Goes outside and doesn't go too far.
Connor Welsh running wide.
Jermaine was all over him. Oh, check that.
Brandon Sensi.
It was Brandon Sensi, number 46.
No gain.
So no gain on that play from Welsh. And Glenn overall, again, he's throwing away from the wind now. It's to his back. Hasn't been able to really find the right touch. Neither QB, who has passed for over 2,000 yards, have completion ratings up to the 60s and close to it, have had that high of completion percentage today. Empty backfield now as they move Welsh out to the far side. Here comes the pressure, throws, finds Wilkerson, but take it down after a 1-yard gain.
Michael Germain has been very germane for Sayreville right now. In the second half, coming up with big plays. Get a sense Sayreville is building some momentum here.
Sayreville may not be known as much, at least this season, for their defense. It's not the same thing that has really stood out about them, the offensive production they end up having. But they've had some key stops already. This will be a big one. 3rd down and 10, back from their own 17-yard line for the Lions. Two receivers on the far side, 3 to the near. Glenn looks left, throws left, incomplete, and there's a flag on the play as Kubi looked like he was held up.
Glenn's pass intended for Kubi, incomplete.
That was Elijah Clark on the coverage.
Elijah Clark on defense, number 10.
Defensive holding, 10-yard penalty. So North continues this drive. 2 receivers line up on the near side, 1 to the far. Right into the chest of Welsh. Now Wilkerson on the reverse. Wilkerson gets the block down the far sideline. And will be knocked out of bounds just shy of midfield at the 45.
Great job blocking across the offensive line, and an even better job by Brendan Kuby outside at the wide receiver. He's going to block this play up here and get Wilkerson downfield for the first down and plenty more.
Tangled up with Clark, the guy who has been all over him today.
Big 17-yard gain from Wilkerson, and it kind of lights a little spark in Middletown North. That offense has become a little stagnant.
Here comes the pressure. Flag on the play, just throws it out. Intercepted. Sensi straight to the end zone. It's potentially a pick 6. It looks like the call is going to be against Middletown North. The touchdown should stand. That's the call. And for the first time today, Sayreville has the lead.
That is a huge, huge play by Brandon Sensi, who has made 2 big plays on defense in the second half, making a stop on the perimeter, and then this play right here, reading it, reacting, and taking it untouched the other way. Give Bryce Christensen the credit for putting the pressure on Donald Glenn, forcing him to try and make something when nothing was there, and then it pays the ultimate price for Middletown North because Sensi takes it the other way.
Crowley keeps it low this time and gets it right over the yellow bar. It's a 20-14 lead after the pick 6 from Brandon Sensi, his first interception of the season.
Perfect time to get that. You want to get those. If you're going to get one, you might as well get one in the sectional final and then turn it into a pick 6. Sayreville Nation, electric right now, the Bomber Country. Feeling it.
Hey, Greg, it all starts from more pressure to Donald Glenn, something he has been seeing all day long, and he decides to throw the football instead of just tucking underneath and taking the sack.
You know, I don't know if Sayreville made any adjustments across the defensive front, if they're stunting, but all of a sudden, it started at the end of that first half when Middletown North had misfired on 6, 7, 8 passes in a row. And also the numbers, I mean, Donald Glenn had 165 yards passing in the first half. But the pressure starts with Floyd, who's been making an impact coming off the edge. Jermaine, who's been making plays. So when you can get up in his face, in Donald Glenn's face, and force a little haste, good things will happen for your defense, at least from the Bombers' perspective. And Sensi confirms that with the pick 6.
Only the 5th interception all season from Donald Glenn. The semifinal game, actually, in their win over Middletown South was the last time he threw a pick. It was also the first time he snapped a 5-game streak without an INT. So now 2 interceptions in his last 3 games. Going to re-kick here after they declined the penalty. Middletown North did. So it looks like probably a smart move considering how bad the wind is blowing from left to right on your TV screens. I mean, it is starting to really swirl up there. Before it was a little calm back in our first game. It's gotten much worse. They'll keep it on the ground, and Campbell will let it roll out of bounds again. So another illegal procedure back-to-back, and Middletown North is going to decline, backing them up another 10 yards. Oh, excuse me, another 5 yards, so 10 yards total. With under 2 minutes to play here in the third quarter. And Sayreville with 20 unanswered points in this contest. And the pigskin blows off again. Carter will have to hold. Maluski keeps on the carpet, spins up. Sayreville says it's their football. The referees sort it out underneath. Sayreville ball.
Michael Germain looks like came out of the pile with that. Not a surprise.
On the recovery, Michael Germain, number 44.
How about that sequence, though, Greg? 2 kicks go out of bounds. They decline both of them because it seems the smart thing to do considering the weather, the wind. And what happens? Sayreville still comes away with the pigskin.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Shotgun formation. The middle to Roberts. Gives him a pat on the back and says, go ahead, big fella. And he picks up 5 yards. I've almost never seen that before. He hands it off and actually pats him on the back and says, go.
What a great job. It was like a little sense of encouragement as he goes through. Like, you got a big boy.
So the 5-yard gain, and Roberts has had himself one heck of a game. No call, and I think that was a missed call there. Definitely moving at the line. Flag stay in the pockets this time. Roberts bowls his way right up the middle and will only gain a yard. But how this game has changed. The contest started with a QB 19-yard touchdown, an 80-yard drive to begin the contest. Then Liberti fumbled the football, which was recovered by Middletown North. They scored off of that turnover on the 17-yard run from Welsh. Since then, it's been all Sayreville. And a big reason why has been giving this guy the football, Jaquay Roberts, the fullback.
Nick Kish was actually airborne on that tackle for just an instant, completely lifted off the ground by the piston-pumping Jaquay Roberts' legs.
.30 seconds to play here in the quarter. To Mill, to Roberts again. Flag on the play. The shoestring tackle was made by Nick Kish.
I don't know if that flag is going to be on Sayreville for illegal use of equipment because they've got a bulldozer right now that is just running roughshod between the tackles.
What a time for a player to have one of their biggest games. The last carry he had, by the way, September 30th.
Secret weapon. I didn't see any type of like unveiling here today, but apparently they were saving him for something special, like a sectional championship.
He had 9 for 96 and 2 touchdowns that day against Brick Memorial. And now they're 12 minutes away from picking up a championship, which would be their 5th all-time. Does Middletown North have a comeback in them? They trail by 6. You don't want to go anywhere. It's going to be a fun 4th quarter. Stay tuned for more on News 12 Varsity. Welcome back to News 12 Varsity. 12 minutes on the clock as we begin the fourth quarter of play. First and 19 from the 37. DeMille finds Carter on the outside, and the sophomore bounces out of bounds right around the 34-yard line. First play of this fourth quarter. 20 unanswered points by Sayreville. Most recently, the pick six that came from Brandon Sensi, the senior. And the captain took it straight to the house after more applied pressure to Middletown North QB Donald Glenn. DeMille to the far side. And here is Liberty. Shy of that first down marker.
Love it. Little use of the wheel route right there. Liberty gets out wide. Gets a little room to run.
So Kubi's tackle stops the first down. But now Jaquay Roberts comes back out there, the big fullback. That's who they give it to, looking just for 3 feet. And it seems he has got it.
Muller on the stop. Roberts on the first down, number 7, Jaquay Roberts.
£225 of just pure fury. Has his 5th touchdown of the season today. Roberts up the seams. Takes a few guys with him. And picks up a first down.
You know, Roberts, one, has really impressed me with his conditioning, man. He's getting fed the ball repetitively, and he's ready. He's ready to roll every time.
So first and goal will result in a four-yard gain. So it'll be second down and 3.
The second point I was going to make real fast is that they're running no huddle. So he's not even getting a chance to get a breather. He's just getting right back in, you know, as the lone back and getting fed the ball. And thirdly, he's like a wrecking ball, man. He's slowly eroding Middletown North.
Tries to take a block. DeMille comes behind and tries to push him ahead. How about that for the senior QB?
On defense, number 53, senior captain, Jake Goldfarb with the hit.
Jake Goldfarb, the senior captain, with the stop. It'll be a third down and 3. Roberts entering into this quarter, 115 yards on 17 carries and a touchdown.
He just came off the field. He looks like he's hobbling a little bit. They're tending to him right now. Hope he's all right.
So Liberty stands now at the right hip of DeMille. He'll keep it himself. Gets tripped up.
Mark Serbo, great tackle coming off the edge by the cornerback, shooting that gap.
So it'll be the first fourth down if they decide to attempt, but they're going to just kick the points instead, with the wind going from left to right. Curley this season, 1 of 4 on field goals. He hit one against Old Bridge 31 yards out, had misses against Monroe Township, Neptune, and Peaburg back in the quarterfinals. Did miss a PAT today, but that again was on the other side, tougher to kick into the wind. So with the ball down at the 1-yard line, this is pretty much like an extra point, even closer. And I think that's what kind of the discussion is right now. Do we even bother? Do you try and just say, here, let's punch in another 6 points, or just take the easy 3 and force it to be a 2-score game? Chris Began talks it over, using his first timeout here of the half. And here comes the offense.
The offense is coming back on the field.
And that brings the Sayreville supporters up to their feet and gets them loud. DeMille will stand the shotgun. Jaquay Roberts comes back out, standing to the right hip. 2 receivers flanked out right. DeMille will keep it himself, takes the block, spins in for another 6 points, touchdown.
Bombers are flying high right now. Jason DeMille just going like an airplane across the end zone. Fired up, rightfully so. Again, gets to the goal line, twists his body, will not be denied crossing the goal line. Right now, the Bombers have got some legitimate mojo working, looking for perhaps their 27th unanswered point. Bingo.
27-14. 9:06 to go here in the fourth quarter. What a response by Sayreville, and they did not come out strong by any means. Now a team on the far side that has achieved so much this season. They defeated their longtime rival for the first time in 16 years. They're playing in their first sectional championship for the first time in 20 years. And now they trail by 13. They're not a group that's just happy to be here. They're not just happy to be playing at High Point Solutions Stadium in front of their friends and family. They want to win this. And if they're going to win this, they're going to need a good drive right here. Wilkerson takes it back just shy of 15. Runs down to the near sideline and take it out of bounds. And a late hit is going to get him some more yards.
Dwight Wilkerson on the return. 19 yards on the return for Wilkerson. Knocked out by Corey Hatton, number 16. Personal foul. On the kick of the 15-yard penalty. And to the end for 1 first down.
It seems like a long time ago. And Middletown North had the football. And now when they do, they are just going to be swarmed by this Bomber D. Garcica, the first one on the tackle, number 29, the junior.
Loss on the play.
Different energy right now from Sayreville. They sense it. You know, they have that hint, that aroma of a sectional championship, and now it's time to close it.
Glenn to the far side. Wilkerson dances up the middle. Loose ball. Sayreville has it. Platoon pounced on the pigskin. And with 8:12 to go, Sayreville will have it in Middletown North territory.
This sudden, dramatic, sweeping change being orchestrated by Sayreville has to do with the combination of fast, physical defense. That's going to be a dead ball personal foul on Sayreville. I think a player was inadvertently celebrating as he was coming off the field. Nonetheless, getting back to that point though, Sayreville just raised their intensity on defense, and the impact at which they're greeting the football and whoever is the poor soul carrying it right now. They are cracking people with the intention to dislodge the football, and if not, to maybe dislodge a little bit of the spirit of the team that has that ball in their possession at the time.
Garcica was there on the tackle. There was another person coming from behind. And you get a good look exactly who knocked that ball loose. Garcica might have been the one to do so. And Platoon, it just popped right into his hands, right in front of him. Liberti picks up 3 on the carry.
Running hard up the middle, brought down by Nicholas Kish, number 15.
To think this was a 14-0 game in favor of Middletown North. Lions had to like the way things looked, the way things were shaping up. Sayreville obviously did not. made those changes, and not to beat the drum over and over again, but it started with the pressure they started putting in the backfield in the pocket, and everything kind of rolled downhill off of that.
Last few plays, again, that Roberts TD. After the game kind of slowed down to begin this third quarter. The 3 and out, which has been a lot of 3 and outs so far for Middletown North since the beginning, since that 14-0 lead, and then the field goal miss from Kavanaugh back in the second quarter. Since then, again, you had the Roberts touchdown rush. That made it a 1-point game after the PAT missed. Then the pick 6 after only a couple of plays. Then the 2 illegal procedures, which they decided to kick a third time, which pretty much became an onside kick as it went right into the hands of Sayreville. They score on that drive. And then on the last one, it only took, 2 plays and then a fumble. You can't really do too much if you don't have the football. It's that simple.
Goes back to the point you were making, I want to say at the beginning of the fourth quarter, when you were talking about them running the football. And a quick strike offense cannot strike if it does not have the football, which is exactly the point you were making. And if you give it to them sporadically, they can't develop the tempo that those type of offenses need to thrive.
Well, they will get the football here. High snap. Fair catch will be called by Serbo. So they'll have the ball deep. They'll mark them at the 13. And Donald Glenn, a guy who is getting close to 60% completion. Someone who's tossed for just about 2,500 yards this season. Has tossed for 2,500 yards, you include today. Needs to be able to get back into that rhythm. Group of young men who pretty much all played together from their youth days. Playing Pop Warner coming up. Hoping to get this team back pretty much to the promised land, which has been some time. And then we have to watch your crosstown rival who you lose to in the Thanksgiving game every year win a championship last year. That doesn't help. Welsh now goes up the middle. And he'll pick up some yards. Just about 6 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. And 27 unanswered points have come.
8-yard pickup for Welsh.
And technically, 21 of those actually coming off of a turnover. Steve Bush was stressing keeping on to the football and how important it is not to turn it over. Right now, the run game really isn't working, and going into the wind does not make it much easier for the pass game.
Welsh hit by number 60, Michael Vaccaro.
They're down and 1 from their own 23. 5 minutes to play. Quick snap. They'll get the first down. The ball pops loose again. And Sayreville's going to have the ball.
Jakari Carter found the football. I don't know who popped it loose. We'll see if we can catch a replay of that again. But once again, putting a hat on the ball. He goes into, oh yeah, you see the ball pop right at us. He plunges right into the line. The ball pops free. Jakari Carter's right there, pounces on it. Turnovers just continuing to derail Middletown North.
Sayreville comes away with a victory. It was won here in the third and fourth quarter. From the North 24-yard line, a 2-yard carry. We'll just tick some more time off of this clock. And again, North does have all 3 timeouts remaining.
Roberts brought down by number 80, 12 sector.
2-score game, not completely out of reach. They also know they're not going to have much clock left either.
Dan, I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't think it's a secret. Sayreville is the place you're going to want to be tonight. This town loves this football program. It has gone through some rough times that we alluded to earlier in the broadcast. And Jacque Rogers, I think, just applied the exclamation point for Bomber Country.
What a game by the senior.
22 yards up the middle, gets through that second level. There's nobody there. You can see the Bombers sideline, the celebration, the high fives. I think they got a sense that the GMC is about to go 2-0 against the Shore Conference here at Rutgers. 4 minutes away for Sayreville.
Roberts' second touchdown of this game. Lowering that left shoulder, getting right through Dwight Wilkerson, and finding his way to the house. 34 unanswered points. In this second half alone, they've also been on the positive side of 3 turnovers, 1 interception, which was a pick six, and then 2 fumbles. Of the 4 turnovers altogether in this contest that Middletown North has put up there, Sayreville has scored off of 3 of those.
If you can force turnovers, it's great because it keeps the ball out of the hands of an explosive offense. If you can then magnify those turnovers by parlaying them into points on the board, it doesn't get better than that, especially from the Sayreville perspective here in the second half.
Wilkerson from the 11-yard line. Germain all over him. In addition to Colton Redding.
So many standouts for Sayreville in the second half. Don't overlook Mike Germain. Mike Germain looks like he was somewhere in a cage for the last couple weeks, and they decided to let him loose. Like when your dog's been locked up in the house for a couple days, you come home or whatever, you let him loose in the backyard, running wild, hitting everything in sight. That's what Mike Germain's doing it.
Another full team effort, which will result in a championship in about 4 minutes. We saw it in our first game today. There were plenty of guys we could have highlighted as MVPs for that game for Piscataway. Same can be said. And another turnover. It got deflected at the line and went right into the hands of Colin Matthews, the senior. Check that, my mistake. That was Michael Porcaro.
Hands up, deflected pass.
Deflected by Darren Gorsica into the arms of Porcaro.
Watch the replay now. Dan Gorsica gets his hands up, knocks down the pass. He's turning around saying incomplete. Before he knows it, his teammate has picked off the pass. This is an avalanche right now that Sayreville is putting together. And then a turnover right there.
Fumble recovered by the Lions.
Jake Goldfarb recovers the fumble. So Middletown North gets it right back.
Jake Goldfarb.
4 turnovers for Middletown North. Got into the hands of Sayreville, and then, of course, they just have their very first turnover of the entire game with 3:38 to play and leading 34-14. This is unraveled really quickly. Sayreville, again, 4-time state champions. They won back in '97 in Group 3, and then they were in Group 4, 10, 11, and 12. Team that felt they were a championship caliber. The one thing I think that is so interesting was talking to Chris Megan. He was saying to me, so what was the most complete game you feel you guys had all year? what was the game that you said from start to finish, that's how we should be playing football? And he said it was the Old Bridge game, a game that meant absolutely nothing. And the guys just came out, they fought, they did everything right from start to finish, and they easily could have been lulled because it didn't mean anything. The seedings were already set. That just shows you the kind of character that I have in my boys. You see it again today as Glenn gets it off. Almost being taken down 2 and 3 different times.
I'm just real quick trying to thumb through my notes here from the second half. And on the surface, it looks like Donald Glenn's only completed 2 passes in the second half. One of them was a fumble, resulted in a fumble that was recovered by Sayreville. So what they've done, the Bombers, in the second half defensively against an offense that has the potential to light you up like a Christmas tree is no short task. You can see Justine Floyd now. He's excited, man. He's dancing around, and he's been at the forefront of the pressure that Sayreville has applied on Donald Glenn in that pocket.
More pressure from the edge. Floyd was the one who was there. Got it off to Wilkerson, who runs out of bounds, stopping the clock. Actually, it'll say he was already in, so. No, they will be out. So 3:11 is when they stop the clock. I think it was a little bit late. So it'll be a 4th down. And, of course, they'll still go here. Down by 20. Okay, make sure you stay tuned. Our next game, Allentown and Brick Township, 4 p.m. is the expected start time. We've been starting pretty much exactly on that start time. That should be another good one coming at you. Rumson Fairhaven will close it out, looking for their 4th straight against South Plainfield. And that's at 7 o'clock.
On the reception.
The next game, the Redbirds 9-2. Defeated the 2-time reigning champs in Jackson Memorial.
First down, Lions.
Who are looking for their first championship, and then Brick Township, which has had so many different champions under, of course, Coach Wolf in the 51 years. 7-time sectional champs and a Brick Township guy himself, Coach Zandanowicz. Look to lead them to number 8. That's a 4 o'clock start. Glenn's pass gets blocked away right at the line. Bryce Christian got his hand on the football.
I think the one thing that Chris Began will be most proud of in regards to the Sayreville defense is that every guy within that unit has been involved in one way or another making a big play. We've mentioned Bryce Christensen, Justine Floyd, Michael Germain, Jakari Carter. It's endless. And it takes a team effort to win a sectional championship and to shut down an offense like this that was humming in the first half.
Glenn airs it out in the middle of the field, and Wilkerson can't pull it in. It's kind of crazy, too, though, Greg. When I started thinking back, so what are some key moments in this game? It was a drop pass from Floyd down the near sideline, which kind of sparked everyone. It woke up the entire crowd. It woke up the bench because it was almost a clear cut, we're bringing it straight to the house kind of thing. And they were able to respond, and that was the kind of thing that just shows the adversity that this team has battled through, especially many of the seniors, but still coming back up top at the end.
Agreed. I think that I felt like the offense found its tempo after that missed pass, and I felt like whether somebody said something or not to Floyd, he realized, you know what, there's other ways for me to make an impact, which he has done unequivocally with his pass rush.
A little more than 2 minutes to go, and it'll be another 4th down. Glenn will get the play calls on the far sideline from his head coach. What a job Steve Bush has done, though, bringing this team from where they were to where they are now, still playing in a sectional championship. Made some moves that many people looked around and said, really? And it paid off in the end. Glenn, a 4-year guy, looking for Kuby. Down that far sideline, overshot him. So, turnover on downs, under 2 minutes to play. And Sayreville will look to just run out the clock before they can start their celebration this Saturday.
So, one of the things that I look forward to, Dan, is like going home tomorrow, watching so many of the games that we are obviously not at. We can't be everywhere. And one of them will be this Mater Dei Holy Spirit game. Mater Dei was winning big. And apparently an epic 50-yard hook and ladder with 3 seconds left. And the Serifs are now leading Holy Spirit in the non-public Group 2 championship, which you can watch on News 12 Varsity. That game is at Kane, so you can check it out.
Liberty picks up 5 yards on that carry. It's been a busy weekend, especially for you guys, the usual Jersey guys around here. It's been a very busy weekend with the amount of games, the amount of championships that we've had the privilege to be able to bring to you live on Channel 14, even last night, which has been fun to get back on Channel 14 a couple of times. Saw the Long Island Championship games last Friday find their way on to Channel 14, and then last night's games at MetLife. Of course, tomorrow, games at Keene today, 2 more today at Rutgers after this. It's been a very busy, all-hands-on-deck kind of weekend. And, of course, we want to thank everyone. People don't realize, I think, how much work everyone puts into these broadcasts, our producers especially, our writers. It's a lot of great coverage, and everyone loves what they do. Minute 29 to go, 34-14. With 34 unanswered points by the Sayreville Bombers. A guy who comes back to coach his team. A team that he was an assistant on, a team that he was a star with. Back in 1990 is when he graduated. Never winning a championship in that time as a player. And now he's less than 90 seconds away from winning one as a head coach. Great thing for a community that needed this after the last couple of years. Free right up the middle, and another 6 on the scoreboard. McMoore rushes in the TD. McMoore is one of the starting safeties for this group, a senior. And give him a touchdown, why not? 40 unanswered points. Now here late in the 4th. And the extra point is good.
It's unreal. 41 unanswered points by Sayreville, with every guy in a blue and white uniform basically involved in this thing.
As many make their way to the exits on the far side. It's everyone on the near side who's standing on their feet, jumping up and down out of pure excitement. Just waiting for that clock to hit 0 and to see their boys hoist up that championship title.
And to do so, the Bombers basically decimate Middletown, the entire town, taking on Middletown South, the defending champs, and now Middletown North. No small task by any means, but a pretty proud one put together by the Bombers.
And the ball comes off again. Really no surprise at this point. What a great first 2 games we have had so far. Piscataway defeating Manalapan in 1 minute and 8 seconds. Sayreville upending Middletown North. 2 more champs need to be crowned here at High Point Solution Stadium. Wilkerson right up the middle, and the speedy senior gets down the far sideline and will be pushed out of bounds inside of Sayreville territory.
So with 55 seconds to go in the game, I have to begrudgingly give credit to my New Jersey colleague Mike Kinney. I was entrusted to make the picks on both the Manalapan Piscataway and Middletown North Sayreville game because both of those higher seeds were short conference teams, and I did pick Manalapan and Middletown North. Both picks, by the way, Mike Kinney vehemently disagreed with, and once again, I bow to my esteemed colleague because he drilled both of these correctly.
Well, that first one, I know you're saying you think he's a homer for it.
Yeah, you know what? He's a Montclair Immaculate graduate. I corrected it on the show. He's a Piscataway home owner, not a homer. Just like I'm a Toms River North home owner, but I'm a Neptune Scarlet Flyer, born, bred, raised, proud to the day I die.
On the stop, number 15.
I'm not even from New Jersey. I'm a Long Island guy. Do love coming out here, though, and love watching this football especially. Here in the Garden State. 15 seconds to go. Glenn knocked loose on a huge sack.
Kyle Cruz.
And with that, bombs away. Another championship for Sayreville. Their 5th in their program's history. The North Jersey 2 Group 4 title goes back to Sayreville with 41 unanswered points in a 41-14 victory over Middletown North. What a game this has been. What a second half, especially. The defense really stepping it up for the Bombers.
No doubt
We'll be back.
about it. Really set the tone, put the energy and the light, the fire right inside of the Bombers.
We'll be back with more on News 12 Varsity.